Welcome to our second episode of the Cold Case Collective. I'm Rocky Martin, and I'm here with my buddies,
Caden
And Alex.
and today we're going to be kind of going into the career development of Nirvana, the formation of the band, the release of their major albums, some career milestones, and of course, I'm sorry, I lost it. Public attention and stress factors.
Yeah, basically everything from 1985 to around 1992, everything leading up to basically his final 2 years. To start out, around June 1985, Kurt Cobain, he rented an apartment in Aberdeen and was running around local music circles with bassist Chris Novoselic around Melvin's rehearsals and shows and other bands in that genre. This is around the time where he formed his first band, Fecal Matter. It was formed in 1985, but ended in early 1986.
Yep. So,
And March 30th, 1986, Cobain recorded an early home demo known to be his pre-Nirvana music, who he had drummer Dale Crover, who was in Fecal Matter with him part-time. Yeah.
I didn't know that he was with him in Fecal Matter. That's real cool.
Yeah, him and they had a few different drummers. There's a few people, I cannot remember the names of them, but he was also who was the drummer for Bleach, along with a few other people, their first studio album, which we'll get into in a second.
Yeah.
And so starting around 1987, Cobain and Chris Novoselic, who he was running around in those music circles with, formed Nirvana. They cycled through drummers early, like we said.
Of course.
They had Dale Crover and quite a few others. I know Chad Channing was a name who drummed on Bleach. But eventually, around 1990, they had settled on Dave Grohl.
So it took him about 3 years to find like a stable drummer.
Yeah, no, they definitely cycled through a lot of different ones, but Dave, once they got him, he was their drummer up until the end of the band.
I feel like 3 years is a long time to find a good
Yeah,
drummer.
like it's a little while to find the footing with an actual like steady drummer.
Yeah, it's impressive that him and Chris were able to keep it going without, a stable third.
Of course. And leading up to that is kind of the release of major albums after the formation of the band. And it was about November 1st, 1988, I think. Nirvana released the first sub-pop single, Love Buzz. And that was actually a cover of Love Buzz written by Robbie Van Leeuwen, if I'm saying that correctly.
Of the Shocking Blue band, 1960s, 70s.
I think it was about 69.
Yeah, around that time. A lot of Nirvana, they have a lot of music. They have a lot of covers on some of their albums.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess Kurt, in my opinion, he made them better, but...
He was just really good at, honestly, just making them good.
Yeah, but following them releasing their first single, they released their first album, Bleach, under Sub Pop Records. The same, they released their first single on. Love Buzz was also on that album, Bleach.
Yeah.
This was with, like we said, Dale Crover, Chad Channing as a drummer, no Dave Grohl yet, but this was them launching themselves into music.
Mm-hmm.
And then September 24th, 1991, Nirvana released Nevermind, which was their first major label debut, which became the band's commercial breakthrough into the spotlight. And then on December 14th, 15th of 1992, Nirvana released Incesticide, a compilation of demos, radio sessions, and B-sides, which are like secondary songs that would be on the flip sides of albums.
So it was kind of just to like ease the tension of releasing anything, so they just really had to get something out, basically, with that one.
Yeah, and then the name, well, we don't really know why.
Yeah.
I think it might be a play on words, however you want to interpret that.
I would believe so. And,
But moving on to his career milestones, after major label interest intensified, and around 1991, Nirvana signed with DGC, Geffen Records, which was a pivotal shift from the indie circuits that they were in into a national promotional machine.
Yep.
Another important milestone was in January 11th, 1992, Nevermind hit #1 on the Billboard 200, replacing Michael Jackson's Dangerous.
which is just a crazy feat. I mean, Michael Jackson, he was the king of pop.
Yeah, I mean, it just really shows how famous they were getting. And
so quickly.
yeah, so quickly. You can understand how this could, create some stress for Kurt in his life.
Of course.
Especially now because he's never dealt like stuff like paparazzi, media.
Yeah,
Just trying
I
news
imagine
outlets.
early in the career there was some of that, but definitely not to the extent it is now.
Yeah.
That they're signed to a major label and pushing out major albums.
I mean, #1 on the Billboard is like there's only so many people that have achieved something like that.
Yeah, extremely impressive. But I mean, these milestones, like we said, can show how big they've gotten, and that can help to, you can understand those overnight industry expectations that they were put under after releasing their album. I imagine they weren't ready for it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's like pretty sudden bump. I mean, you go from minor league just to like absolute big league, major league.
Yeah.
And with that, I mean, that's a difference of like maybe thousands of people knowing you to like hundreds of thousands to millions knowing your band
Yeah.
and having eyes on you.
And around this time in 1992, not to get too deep into it, because next episode will be mostly about his marriage, but this is when Courtney and Kurt got married.
Yes.
Also, very shortly after, just a couple months, their daughter was born, Frances Bean Cobain. And this, after their daughter was born, Kurt, this was a time in his life where he decided to try and become clean. He entered rehab, but from what we know, the stint did not last long.
Yeah, and wasn't it like multiple times that he had entered rehab?
No. Reportedly, there's not too many cases of him, or like documented times of him going into rehab, but it is rumored that he had been in and out of rehab multiple times throughout his life. And even this was his first, or around the time of his first major overdose that had occurred in 1992 after their SNL appearance. Him and Courtney had gone back to their apartment to do heroin, and Kurt overdosed, but luckily Courtney was able to resuscitate him using Narcan.
What a lovely pastime, I must say.
Oh, definitely. But, I mean, that's just really how they like to get down.
Yep. What a way.
Yeah.
And then next we'll be talking about the public attention and stress factors, mainly in 1991, 1992, when they started to like get big as a band.
Yeah.
And the fame intensified, and by early 1992, the band's success was no longer like a niche sort of thing. Again, Nevermind reached #1.
That's
And
a measurable marker
Yeah.
of their mainstream attention.
They weren't really just this underground band, that they were just having for fun and making some money.
Yeah, and outside of the music, there was media scrutiny surrounding Courtney's pregnancy and drug allegations that him and Courtney were receiving all throughout their career, but especially now since they were in the spotlight.
Yeah. With the recent marriage and a child on the way, and I mean, the media's looking at anything to tear down anyone famous, so they're just hating and hating.
Yeah, especially when you get like reactions from like high-profile magazines and that claim that Courtney was using drugs during her pregnancy. It's not a good look at all, especially for someone who just became famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty rough one to be looking at.
Because a lot of people are very sensitive about people during pregnancy and stuff like that. It's always something or something like.
I mean,
people are very judgmental about stuff like that.
Most people weren't even liking women smoking cigarettes while they were
No.
pregnant, and
Let alone heroin.
Yeah, she's going around being known for having heroin in her system all the time. So
Yeah, I mean, definitely not a good look.
But I mean, this year, 1992, really stands out as a year in Cobain's life where his private life collided with his public exposure and created conditions for him that increased his stress load immensely and definitely contributed to what, if you would consider, his final decision to kill himself.
yes, of course.
So, again, like last episode, the final question: do we think that the public attention and the stress factors from his band blowing up and the family allegations would be a factor in him committing suicide?
I mean, it would of course be a factor, but with honestly nearing the end of Courtney and Cobain's relationship, nearing the end of his life, he was fighting for custody for his kid. So, I mean, I feel like that is like a sign that he wasn't really trying to give up on his life and he was really trying to turn it around.
Yeah, but you can definitely see, I mean, these things combined with his early childhood, we talked about last episode,
Yeah.
and his disorders, illnesses, all of these things could definitely combine in a way to, you could see how that could ending up how it did.
Of course.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like every celebrity goes through like some
Yes.
character criticism.
Yeah, no, I was gonna
family
say
criticism.
most artists end up going. No, I don't want to say most, but I feel like a lot of artists have ended up going through either similar childhoods. Had to go through the same stress factors Cobain was under when they were getting famous. I feel like these are things that most artists have experienced, but none of them experience the same life as Cobain. They don't have the same. I don't want to say experiences again, but they don't. They're not the same.
Yeah.
Is basically what I'm saying. You can't use one person's response to stress and all these other things as you can't assume it's going to happen to another person the exact same way.
Yeah, because especially we talked about in the last episode. Go watch it.
Nice plug.
Yeah, but he's dealt with stress his whole life. Like he's been in and out of households, living out on the street and stuff like that.
Yeah, a very early exposure to drugs.
Yeah.
He grew up with the divorce early from his parents. All these things.
I mean, it's just not one factor that leads into having.
It just kind of has to keep building up over time until the dam breaks.
Yeah, and we don't know Kurt. We don't know who he is. We don't really know him. So it's hard to understand the decisions that he would try to make to try and come to conclusions about what he would do when we don't know him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's all I got. If you guys have any little interesting notes or
any thoughts?
Any thoughts about it, leave it down in the comments. And you might change our minds.
Yeah, we would love to discuss in our next episode.
And this will be the end of the second episode of the Cold Case Collective. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for
See ya.
watching.